and welcome to another high-powered episode of the High Voltage Live Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder from NEC Code, coming to you live from the Mile City in Denver, Colorado, joined by my awesome co-host, Mr. King James Stalkup, over there at Big Sky Country, Hurricaneville, wind blowing, trees falling, Ville, Texas. And he is representing the Stalkup Electrical Education. And I've showed some people, dude. You wouldn't believe this today, dude. Guess what we seen? Somebody showed up with a 2011 NEC, and boom, what's in there? Stalkup. You know, so that's pretty awesome. I was like, oh, check it out, it's still in there. I was like, oh man, that's NFPA putting out the Stalkups as the best, stuff out there. Was it in 2011? It was. In 2024, it still is. So that's pretty awesome. Means a lot. Throwing down, trying to just bust all these myths and having you help me out. Every week, you throw me little curveballs. I try to throw you curveballs, and it's just a lot of fun doing it. And like I say, we get a lot of hate mail from people acting like we're trying to be smarter than anybody. We're just trying to just throw down whatever you run into in the field. I'm trying to bring my experience in here and just say this is what I've seen out in the field, and if you don't believe it, that's fine. I don't care. We show you what the code says. If you don't want to believe it, you say, hey, my inspector passed it. Cool. Well, your inspector isn't the chief of the city of Grapevine, but it is what it is. So to me, it's just a lot of fun every week doing these. I have a blast doing them, and like I say, I appreciate getting your take. I do try to spend a little bit of time on the phone with you, kind of melting you down a little bit to try to get you to pass some of my stuff that you're not going to pass, but it is what it is. Oh, there's David, huh?
He's in the house.
All right, Mr. E is in the house.
Looking forward to the myth of the week, and DJ's in.
Nice. All right. Oh, dude, we did. I forgot to get the Jaws theme going.
Dun,
dun, dun, dun, dun, dun.
I got like 5 messages from people going, dude, y'all are doing a football podcast now? I was like, yeah. I said, we just sort of have fun doing it. And they're like, I'm going to join that next Monday. They said, I didn't know y'all were doing that. And I said, we just go in and have fun, talk about the games of the week and stuff. I said, it's just stuff we do on the side.
We will have a little bit better fantasy breakdown. I think I'm going to post up the stats for like the Chatter League with Rising Rhino, and maybe see how like the league's doing, because we have Cameron's in there, Rising Rhino's in there, bunch of the SOS crew. So it'll be pretty fun. We just have a good time doing it. And like I say, Daniel, there's a reason you didn't join, because I would have called you a whiner. I'd have been like, Daniel lost his first week. He's a whiner.
See, but what could be better? You get expert opinions on code and football.
Yeah, true. And see, the thing is, it's not really like, that's the thing that like is weird to me, because it's not necessarily my opinion. Like, I'm just saying this is what the code says, and in my opinion, this is what it means. But like. Did I say something funny, Daniel? Did I say something funny? No, I don't think I said anything funny. But no, it's just a lot of fun.
It was funny, wasn't it, Daniel?
Yeah, it's just we just have a good time doing it, and like I say, it means a lot that everyone can just joke around, have fun, and we can make jokes and crack jokes, and nobody gets offended.
That's what's great about this podcast and the one we're doing on Monday too. Now is. We have fun. We give our opinions, what we think, and all of that. But we also try to back it up with why we believe what we believe. But everybody has fun. You can talk trash back and forth to each other, especially during the football one. And last week I got to talk all kinds of trash. Longhorns whooped Michigan, and the Cowboys whooped us. I was on cloud 9 last Monday.
Dude. Cowboys defense pulled through hardcore on my fantasy, and I was just like, I'm not saying nothing. No cowboy jokes this week. I'm like, nope, we're good. But
I love doing these.
yeah, what means a lot to me is not necessarily trying to like push my opinion or anything, but just being able to go out there and just have fun with everybody who's in the same boat as us. You know what I mean? Just Just like, hey, what happened on your week? What happened with your football? What happened with your favorite team? To me, it's just fun. It's just fun hanging out. Like, dude, the Broncos got destroyed, and they're let's go back a little bit. So, Denver media hyped Bo Nix, said he was gonna be like this awesome dude come out in week 1, and the whole thing was, to me, that was wrong by Denver media. I thought that was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I was high on Bo Nix, but I wasn't high to where, like, I thought the Broncos would cover 5.5. I thought it'd be a little closer. It kind of looked like it was a little closer the whole game, but then we just started making mistakes, and then they just capitalized on them, and then it was over. But at the same time, it's not like I'm thinking, oh man, the Broncos are going to be a playoff team. I would love to see the Broncos in the playoffs, but I don't know. We have a lot of work to get there.
Oh yeah. Well, just like last week, they were hyping up the Longhorns winning by double digits, had them 7+ favorites, so that's 10 points basically, and I was like, Michigan, they play smash mouth, and then once by the first quarter, I said, shit, this game's over. I was like, man, Texas, God. So it was fun. I enjoyed watching the games. I watched all kinds of games.
The one thing that surprised me about Texas was they look good on special teams, they look good on defense, they look good on offense. They didn't have, our game of the night. Our game of the night, man. Daniel's taking the Dolphins. I don't know. Who you taking, James?
That's a tough one. I think the Dolphins, they're a high-flying offense. I'm going to give them that. They're fast and everything. But there's just something about Josh Allen. I think he'll will his team to the win.
All right, Daniel, I'll take Fish. We'll go against King James. King James taking the Bills, so all right. But it's just a friendly bet. It's all good.
I'm still a Cowboy fan, though.
Yeah.
But I think Bills got a pretty good team, dude. I'm telling you. But
dude, looks like it's 3-1 right now because David's taking.
Everybody's
dude,
against me now. What the hell's going on?
Oh, dude. It's going down tonight.
Come on, somebody jump in that chat and defend me here.
Yeah, I don't see Frank Clark in here, but he would jump on with the Bills bandwagon. But I don't know.
I'll tell you this: if the Bills win, y'all better be here next Thursday.
There you go.
Because I'll be here.
Like
all right, let's roll the mean week. We'll screw it up.
Only 120 miles from Miami. But all right.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll roll the mean.
All right.
So I just had to clarify that because that is my biggest mistake that I make a lot. Like, I'll tell my apprentice, I'll be like, hey, we got to check out the hot water heater. And he's like, oh, okay, cool, let's go check out the hot water heater. But then I don't realize that it's just a water heater, not a hot water heater. So
that's funny. I like that. Yeah, that would make it a hot water heater. Hot water heater.
Yeah, the water is already heated, so you don't need to heat it a second time. So.
Did you see the two thermostats on that heater?
Yeah, that was unnecessary.
Hey, I'm always unnecessary. That's funny as hell. I like that.
Yeah, right on.
All right, you ready to
Um,
get into your myth of the week?
all right, I think you guys will enjoy this. I got a good one in store.
All right, let's roll it.
It's time for Myth of the Week.
All right, this one comes from social media. We were kind of arguing a little bit back and forth. Somebody had a cut-in box that was mounted on the exterior of a dwelling unit, and I was kind of like, is that box wet location rated? And they're like, no, it doesn't have to be because it's going to have a gasket over it and it's going to be all good. And I'm like, this brings up a pretty big gray area. Now, the actual premise of this, I've actually had an inspector argue with me on this before. I was at a job. We were doing like a pet store, and they needed some switches to shut their fish tanks off. So we cut switches in and we shut their fish tanks off. And the inspector's like, oh, you can't use those boxes for new construction. And I'm like, okay, well, what can I use these boxes for? And it says, oh, well, it's only for existing buildings only. And I'm like, okay, so this is a brand new building permit that you're signing off on. And they built the wall, they textured the wall, they painted the wall, now it's existing, you know? And so I was like, so I can go right next door to the building that already has the permit signed off, and I could go put a cut in over there, but I can't put a cut in right here with the same exact wall that's been existing for the same amount of time. And he's like, and he ended up letting us do it, you know? But I kind of saw his point when it comes to how the device outlet is mounted. So this device outlet is dependent on like the wall. So it's not physically mounted to anything in the building structure. I thought that was kind of interesting. You know, I kind of saw his point. At the same time, I don't know how you can really get around it. Now this one I feel brings up a gray area, because let me ask you this, James. Where is that box mounted? Is that mounted inside the wall?
No.
It's mounted on the exterior of a building.
That's the way I would view this.
To me, that's where I feel the gray area comes up. And if you go look at 11028, it gives you lists of different box, criteria of what their rating is. And yeah, that's a good one there. And these boxes are, that box that was just in the picture was NEMA 1, which means for indoor use only. It says do not use this box on exterior at all. Mm-hmm. So it's funny because this is where the gray area comes in, and I'm not trying to argue with anybody. I'm not trying to call anybody stupid or say anybody's wrong. What I'm saying is if you go off the code, they always want to do this to us. They want to say we can't read, we're not reading the code, but then when we read the code and it doesn't align with them, then we're wrong, or we're idiots, you know? But the whole thing is, what I'm trying to say is, if you go look at what this box is rated for, this box is not rated for that location. Now, there could be sun aspects that could be involved in that box. You could sit there and say, oh, well, it's going to get a rubberized gasket that's going to go over it. All right, well, if all of a sudden that box deteriorates and falls in the wall, you're going to say, well, that was installed in the wrong location. You know, that box was never designed to be installed in an exterior location. You don't know what those extremes are being. I mean, that box might not even last one season in Alaska. You know, so a lot of these guys, they have to write a lot of these codes to apply to a bunch of different locations. It can't just be like, dude, there was times where there's fixtures that were installed in Colorado and they were never designed to be installed with a temperature that goes below 32 freezing.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do we have to do? We had to go get warming blankets to cover the ballast, to warm the ballast if it goes below 32. You know, like, I mean, to me, I've never seen anything like that. Like, why do you need such an expensive correction when your listing and labeling is coming from a place that never goes below freezing? You know, and I know we talked about that with Crystal Hunter when she was on, and
Mm-hmm.
she was blown away because she's like, yeah, you guys are right, because there is equipment that's tested and listed in places like California, in places with warm climates, and then you have to go install it in Alaska, and right away that's a code violation to
Right.
install that at a temperature, ambient temperature that's below. Well, that's where they get these NEMA 1 ratings from, is from what ambient temperature it's going to be subjected to. There was actually a joke that I used to do back in the day where if you don't exceed 86 degrees Fahrenheit, you could actually increase this, you could increase your ampacity by 0.4%.
Right.
You know, so like that 0.4%, it's like an adjustment factor. Well, the same thing applies here. You can't just take a product that's not listed for exterior and install it exterior. To me personally, that what was in the picture, I think is totally fine. But in my opinion, it's a code violation.
Sure, I can speak directly on this. You know, because Dad and I went to Alaska. We actually wrote the inspection procedure for the pump stations.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and we actually went to different ones uh, all through Alaska there. And those pump stations had a lot of equipment that had started rusting. Well, those pump stations have been there for a while too. So, you know, and
Yeah.
back then they were just using, you know, regular boxes and things like that. So, what we ended up doing is basically like when you're looking at this table, because you got different climate there and they got salts and things like that all around. So what we ended up having to do is look at an enclosure that was rated for corrosive environments. And we wrote all that up and they had to go in and change that. Matter of fact, we had to even do some stuff on the conductor because of the temperature ratings that were there. So
True.
we did calculations with the conductors at those lower degrees, just like you would if you had conductors that are over 86 degrees Fahrenheit, how we look at derating the
Sure.
conductors for that, applying
Sure.
an adjustment factor. So I understand where this, you know, you need to look at this table. And what is interesting is when you look at the table, right in this table here, this table 11028, and this deals with your enclosure selections. And
Mm-hmm.
where you really want to look at this is you want to look at note one. Okay, you have an informational note there, and they tell you what type of enclosure is typically used where you apply the term rain tight. Okay, then there's other types that you would look where you're looking at rain proof. Okay,
Yeah.
so in this case, I would consider it being up against the building there. You've got an overhang and all that. I'd probably look at this if I was an inspector looking at it being rain tight. That would,
Yeah,
if,
and I would say it's possibly a damp location. The one part that I want to add to this is David has a really good comment. So when you're an inspector, you're saying that material appears to be hardy board. Well, yeah, that's true, David. That hardy board has like a 50-year warranty on it. Now you're putting a box in there that's relying on, that's going to deteriorate that material. Not only deteriorate that material, but it's going to deteriorate outside of that material. And so it has a lifespan less than that hardy board. It would be that would be my rejection as an inspector, is I would say that plastic box would not outlive the hardy board.
I can tell you, as far as residential go, here in Texas because now they're starting to do some siding and all that, but mainly a lot of the houses around here we use brick and rock. I'll just tell you
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
90% probably, and or especially in the newer areas. And when you look at those, the way that brick's there, you're not going to put a cut-in box there. It
No.
ain't going to work. So
No. And then that's even a damp location in itself there.
yeah,
And
and
then
I'll
you're
tell you
trying to tell
what.
me you're gonna put a cover over that's gonna seal out moisture
Yeah,
on
what
brick.
they'll do is they'll come out, and usually if they have to add something outside, it'll be mounted on the outside of the brick, and
Right.
then they'll come up with a conduit, go up through uh, the overhang soffit there, and then they'll kick back from there and mount everything. So we really don't have that problem here so much. But if I was an
Sure.
inspector going out, you know, let's just say it's a new job. If I go out there as an inspector, first of all, uh, more than likely, if you came in after the fact, the inspector probably is not even going to see that you did a cut-in box anyway once you put the cover on and all that.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
hypothetically, let's just say that,
Dude, there was a lot of comments. I wanted to say that's freaking awesome. All the participation I had in the Nat King Code. There was a lot of participation, and a lot of people said that. Like, just wait till inspector's gone and then cut it in.
yeah,
But at the same time, that's not what we're talking about. We're trying to have a code discussion here. And we're trying to say, what does the code say? What does the code allow? What does the code permit? To me personally, I don't see the code permitting a material that's going to not outlive that hardy board. To me personally, I would not want that. Like, I could see that, to David's point, cutting around enough of the hardy board that you put the box on the other side of the hardy board, and then like if worst comes to worst, you pull that cover off, and if you have to change that box, you just change that box. It's not sitting on the hardy board, you know.
well, sure. And that's what I was referring to because when I look at it, when I was an inspector, if I'd have gone out there and they put the cut in boxes. I saw them. I'd say, why'd you put these in? They say, well, they added this. I'd say, understood. You're not going to take the sheetrock down and everything just to make it, permanent mounted to the studs and everything. I'd say, okay, no big deal. It's no different than if somebody come in after the fact and added, after the building had been there for a month, in my opinion, or a week. You know,
Yeah,
that's
but
that's
you're
what it's
gonna
used for. But on the
you might
outside,
you might be opening up your magnifying glass on other things if you start seeing that, because you're like, what other things did they miss? And that's gonna be key. Like if they start missing big things, like where they're not doing certain things in like their mechanical rooms or whatnot, then you're gonna have your eye open more and go, wait a minute, or these guys know what they're doing? Because there's no reason they couldn't have just roughed these in, and had them ready, even
oh
if they
sure,
just had a blank cover or
I,
whatnot.
I've seen where they've come in and done stuff. Let's just say that you come in and you had a workstation, say in the garage, for instance, and they come in, they build the the uh, the bench and everything they're going to put on. Then right behind it, they build a board and everything, hang their tools on. Then they decide they want to put a receptacle in there. Well, guess what? They're going to put a couple of them wherever they want them, and they're going to put a cut-in box in there. You know,
Yeah,
and
and we're not saying that a flush mount installation is required, David. Like what we're saying is, like in this case, like rather than doing the cut in, you just put like a surface mount box. Like I know it could be like aesthetics or whatnot, but to me personally, you put like a wet location rated box in there. The reason that I was saying this is such a gray area, we brought this up before, James. When we're doing residential, we stub out an NM cable, we put a FS box. We
yeah,
stub out an NM cable, we put a disconnect for our HVAC equipment. We don't stub out a UF cable because it has to be wet location rated for that enclosure. So this is where the gray area comes in, David, that we were talking about when you go into 314.15, where it says that if you install an enclosure in a wet or damp location, then the wiring method needs to be in a damp or wet location. And like, to me, I don't know for sure, David, if there's anything that requires it to be like a flush mount installation. Like, to me personally, I think that plastic box is just fine. But to me personally, when you mention like that hardy board, you tell me, hey, we're gonna have that hardy board on here, that's gonna last 40 years. Is that plastic box gonna last 40 years on top of that hardy board? I'm gonna say no. I bet you that plastic box busts up at 20 years easy. But I don't know for sure. I haven't done enough testing or stuff to know personally what this stuff lasts as. If I was an inspector, I wouldn't be totally cool with that. I mean, that's I can guarantee it's gonna last longer than my career as an electrical inspector. But I mean, is that what we're after when you come to code compliance?
Well, that's one reason you see, like here in Texas, we'll use THHN/THW, and that alleviates that problem, first of all, for the conductor. And then what I've seen where they've got siding and things like that, what the inspectors here are requiring is they'll just drill a hole, and then they'll come through that hole and they'll mount their box straight to the outside of that siding and everything. They don't flush it back in there because they say it's not rated for that. They consider that to be a rain location right there, and it needs to be rain. The enclosure has to be rated for that. And
it's funny because I was talking to a bunch of different people like in the industry, and they were like, yeah, I never really looked at it like that before, And I'm like, dude, that's a NEMA 1 rated box mounted on the exterior of a structure. Like, you could say, well, it's mostly in the wall, but it's not 100% in the wall. I agree with David. I think that there's a way that you could cut that hardy board out of the way enough to where you could recess it all the way in the wall, and it might be a little bit better. And then that's what I'm saying. You're not dependent on that hardy board. Like if something goes wrong with that receptacle or something, then you just bust that receptacle out of there, put another one in there, and the hardy board doesn't get damaged. It comes down to that whole accessible thing, readily accessible, is that box, are you going to be able, like, when you go look at, like, one that's, like, installed in the building, that's installed in the wall, that's not going anywhere. That's going to stay there, And if you have to replace that siding or whatever, you don't have to remove anything. I mean, you're going to remove the receptacle, you're going to remove, all your stuff, and they're going to redo the siding, and then you're going to put everything back. Everything's going to stay the same electrical. When you're dependent on that cut-in, I don't know. I think it's a little different. I mean,
what I would
say you shouldn't have to remove part of your electrical if you have to remove part of the building or whatever,
If you really wanted it to be flush, what I would say in that case is all right, we'll just pick the spot you want it, go inside your wall there, cut you probably say 18 by 18 inch or 12 inch, whatever your centers are on the house, and have you hole there, go in, set it inside, then you cut there, you got it mounted on the inside to the stud, then come back and patch it all up and paint over it.
Yeah.
If you really want it flush mounted, then you can consider that inside like they did all the other receptacles.
Yeah, and where this kind of stems from too was Mike Holt posted on Facebook, and he had a thing with like a cut-in and the hardy board, and it was a metal cut-in. And I was kind of like, wow, I was like, I don't know that that's okay, because what's the metal cut in? What's mounting it? It's mounted to the hardy board. So if you go to change your hardy board, you're getting rid of part of your outlets. So I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, but yeah, and I agree, David. Like if the inspector's going off the installation instructions, it says, cut to wall size and, tighten. Yeah, you're right. And there's no code violation.
I, I just look at what we do here in Texas, and I know, being for a long time, I was a moderator for the UTA BPI Building Professional Institute. We had inspectors all over Texas come all week. It was a whole week thing. We had all different types of classes. And this question was brought up. They were asking me about it. And I wasn't even teaching a class. We actually had somebody else teaching residential. And they asked me what my opinion was. And pretty much just what I've stated here. That's what most jurisdictions are doing around here, and they're just not going to let you take and use a cutout box on the outside. They consider that being outside. They don't consider it inside. So,
True.
and I look at it this way. Think of it this way. If I come outside and say I've got a built-in grilling area there and I got a receptacle there, okay, do you consider that inside?
No.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those are things that you look at. They don't consider it that way, and they make sure that everything's set up out there being rain tight around it, because they know it's going to get rained on and everything else.
So, like, if you were doing an outside grilling area, I would use code times 3, and I would make sure it's a titanium box installed on top of your grill. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't even be messing around at the stall cut branch. You know what I mean? But to me personally, it was just it kind of raised a red flag to me when I see this cut-in box installed in like a wet location. Because to me it goes back to the whole, bless you.
Thanks.
It goes back to the whole picking and choosing thing. What we were talking about is
Sure,
these guys like picking and choosing where they want to apply something and where they don't want to apply something. They're like, well, this table says you can't use that box, but since it's a picture and I'm using it for teaching, then it's going to be all right. And to me personally, I don't really see that much of a real world issue with it. But when I saw that those ears of the receptacle on the exterior of the building, that's going to get moisture in there.
Yes,
At a certain point in time, that metal box will rust out and fall apart. And it's probably going to be before the hardy board.
Sure, and think about here in Texas, just look at, you only have to give it, 3-4 years. You go out there and the where they take and they've got those covers they put on there, and they've got that black seal at the end. That sucker, in 3-4 years, it's already crispy because it gets so hot here.
Well, and not only that, but like, what is that plastic of the Carlon rated for? Like when you're saying that's an indoor use Carlon, that blue, like there was a lot of really cool comments. Everyone was like, oh yeah, the blue one's okay, but the yellow one is freaking a limited box fill, and like there was so many cool comments on there. It was hilarious. But the yellow one's just the data ring one, or the orange one. The orange one's just the data ring. It's unlimited outlet fill when you just don't even have a back to the box, But the whole thing is, what you have to understand is that what we're saying is, when you have an outdoor installation versus an indoor installation, there's a whole bunch of variables that they're going to base that listing and labeling off of. It's going to be really crucial to selecting that product when you're doing what you're doing. And to just take a random plastic box or a random cut-in box and just being like, okay, cool, this meets all the standards without consulting that table on 110/28. I think that's, really crucial to this myth. But honestly, I think it's all good to go. Whatever you want to do, whatever King James will sign off on. Like, dude, King James, he's a hard inspector, man. He hasn't signed off on nothing, dude. Everything I said King James all kinds of stuff. I'm like, is it a pass? He's like, nope. Like, he hasn't passed this.
You understand?
Dude, did you pass this one for outdoor?
Well, I never had to worry about it because everything was brick.
I know, but I'm saying, I sent you this one. Did you pass it? Did you pass it?
No, I wouldn't have passed it.
Oh, damn it. See, I told you guys. I can't get nothing past this guy. I thought I'd get him. I thought I'd get one pass, but nope. Inspector.
Well, it's interesting because back, you're talking in the 90s when I was an inspector. I always took, and I went out and I would meet with the contractors, especially the ones that build the houses and stuff. I actually had an inspection checklist that I put together with all the sections and everything. And I'd go out and go through the builders with them, tell them this is what I want, blah, 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 blah. And when we first started, they'd miss a few things here and there. And I'd tell them, remember this here? And it took probably about 3 months. And after that, we never had any problems. And I'll tell you why, because a lot of times they want to know what you want, And if we ran into where they had to do something a little bit different, they would call me and say, hey, we got a problem. We're wanting to do this. You come out and look, and I'd go out and look, and we'd come up with a solution. But the main thing was I had a direct working relationship with the contractors in the area. And I remember one of the contractors in Grapevine, Dennis Electric, they were a big electric company in Grapevine. Whenever they were starting a job or something and Dennis had a problem, he had asked me to stop by the office and we would look, or I might meet him on the job, and he'd say, we're wanting to do this, this, and this. And we'd look at it. I'd tell him what I liked and everything, give suggestions and everything. He did it, no problems. Very rarely I ever had a problem. Matter of fact, when I retired, no, I wasn't retired, but went to work with Dad and everything. But they had a big job that came in, which was Grapevine Mills Mall, big mall. And they got Legoland and all of that stuff out there. And
Legoland? Like, dude, mm-hmm. I was like, instant put together by Legos.
Oh, yeah. Well, they asked me if I would still be available for the next 2 years to come out and look at stuff out there when they had problems. And I said, yeah. And they'd work around my schedule because I was off and on, going here, going there. But I was going out there looking at it. And the main reason they wanted me out there more than anything was for the service and the grounding and all of that, to make sure we got that correct. And then going to each unit from there, all the different, lease spaces and stuff they had. But we got, I just went out there, worked with the engineering and stuff. Big contractor was out there, and I would come out there and, the city said, whatever he says is what we're going to do. It doesn't matter what these other inspectors, whatever James says. And we went out there and I'd go over everything with them. And then I'd have the inspector out there, show them what to look for and everything. If you had a problem, just call me and I'll call you back. And they got that thing. They've never had a problem out there since. But to me, that's the most important thing. If I'm a contractor, you want to work with the inspectors. If you got a problem with something, you're unsure, call them ahead of time. And that was one thing when I got there, they wasn't really working with the contractors like that. And I made sure a concerted effort to work with them to let them know what we needed done. And as far as I know, this day, they still use my inspection sheet out there. So
I don't remember exactly what episode we did, but it was the one we did with the MC cable touching the copper pipe.
Mm-hmm.
And Spectre's like, yep. And I did this on purpose. I didn't do nothing on purpose. I made sure it was touching, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, you gotta electrical tape that. And I was like, all right, what's the code reference? And he was like, are you being a smart ass? I'm like, no, I just want to know what the code reference is. I want to know the NEC code article. He's like, well, it's dissimilar metals. I was like, really? You sure about that? You want to look it up? You know? And I was like, dude, I just want to know, man. I'm not trying to be a dickhead, you know? And he says, all right, yeah, let's go look it up. And he goes, I'll get the building inspection out. I'll get everything. Like, he got every book he had out. And we sat there for about an hour looking through it. Could not find it. He goes, you know what? He goes, I'm going to ask the building department tomorrow. He's like, you brought me a good question. He goes, I don't know why. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go electrical tape all those right now because, you know it has to get done. But I just don't know why, you know. And I that's all I wanted to know. I just want to know why. I want to run his myth of the week, you know. And he's like, all right. He goes, next time I come back here, I'll give you the answer. I was like, all right. And so next thing you know, he comes back and he's like, oh yeah, you got them all insulated and everything. It was still, wall was still open and everything. He's like, oh yeah, you got them all insulated. He goes, you know, that's actually plumbing code. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, the plumber told me that it's once the water gets in there, that's when they exchange electrons. That's when the electrolysis happens, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, after that, every time he came out, he brought his code book.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what are we going to talk today? What are we going to find out today? What are we going to learn today? You know? And to me, that made me like feel so good, you know, because I'm challenging that whole, like, why are we doing it this way? Why are we doing it this way? And like, it was crazy because he tells me, well, I need you to have a fire pad on that freaking box right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I look up and I'm looking at the grid ceiling not only going up to the stud height, you know. And I'm like, what for? That's got to be a firewall. That's got to be all the way to the deck if that's a firewall.
Well, you know what's
that's a good point. Then he goes over, starts looking at the plans. He's like, dude, these plans are all wrong.
You know what's interesting? You brought that up, the electrolysis. You remember when I was showing a chart that was put out by the Copper Water Pipe Association, and
Mm-hmm.
I was going in and them showing the size of the grounding electroconductor, the maximum size that they recommended to be connected to certain size pipes. Same principle.
True.
Same principle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're not going to get a good connection.
that's right.
But this week, the myth is busted again. So totally awesome. Thanks everyone for participating. Meant a lot. You can use remodel boxes on new construction. You just have to kind of like get with your HJ and make sure that that's going to be a situation. To me personally, if I put a cut-in box and James walked around the wall and seen it freaking wide open on the other side, he's going to have some questions for me.
Yeah, it is wide open on the other side. Hell yeah, I would.
So that's kind of where we came with this one. But like I say, it's not a remodel. It's a new rough-in, and if you treat it as a remodel, then better be a remodel. But at the same time, it's like I don't really see anything. I don't see any real thing saying that you cannot use a remodel box on new construction. But I would say in this case, the reason I want to show this, because if you're able to rough that in the wall, I think that's going to eliminate your wet location requirements per 314.15.
Yeah.
So that was my whole angle on this one.
All right. Well, got our myth done. So now topic of the week.
Let's do it.
Cue this sucker up. All right, we're still on 2026, and believe it or not, we're getting closer and closer to being through chapter 6, going into 7 and 8. So there was quite a few this time in chapter 6, I'm starting to find out. But I think everybody will find all these pretty interesting. Some of them are like the same thing that we've been covering. You'll see. One of the things I found interesting was, we had a post by Jeffrey Byer saying, "Oh, it's not on there anymore. Y'all got it, blah blah blah." But funny he brings that up because we'll be looking at 625.54 here in just a little bit. So,
Yeah.
but what they did here, they made a revision here to help clarify about permanently installed EVSC and WPTE. Okay. And I'm going to get into this in just a little bit because they've got new definitions that are going to touch base on some of what's taking place here. But what they're going to tell you here that they're required to have a disconnecting means and that it provides a limitation on your cord and plug connected EVSC and WPTE. Okay.
True.
So
which is like that's what the whole thing what Bowers posted was that change.
And when you look at this, they put in here and they sort of fixed it in A here a little bit, but they say for cord and plug connected EVSC and WPT with a rating not exceeding 60 amperes and not exceeding 150 volts to ground, the cord and plug shall be permitted to serve as what? A disconnecting means. Okay?
Right.
That goes without saying, and I've said that over and over and over. There's a reason cord and plug connected always has, especially outside, you're going to have the Class A protection. Okay? Because what happens there is the cord and plug connection is the disconnecting means. All right?
True.
And when you have just a disconnect assembly, I've always said that's not an outlet on the load side. And
True.
I said, and what they've done here, in my opinion, is they've clarified this. So there wouldn't be any misinterpretation. And then they did emergency shutoff now. Now,
okay.
We've already looked at this in some other areas where this has taken place. And they say where you have permanently connected EVSC or WPT, one or more clearly identified emergency disconnect devices or electrical disconnect shall be provided and meet the following. So it has to be installed in a readily accessible location and in sight from the equipment. So that means that you go look at 110.29. They're going to tell you in sight from. They move that from the definition. They tell you it's got to be within 50 foot. It says,
and I actually would like to have a moment of silence for me not getting you on that one. But the one thing that I think is interesting about this, can you use the GFCI device as that disconnect?
Can you do what again? Can you use?
So you have a Class A device on this. Can you use that Class A device as that emergency disconnect?
Well, the Class A device is, are you talking about cord and plug connected?
No, I'm talking about anything. Like, regardless. Like, can you use it as a disconnect? Period.
Well, I'm trying to see where you're going with it because...
Like, so it's saying you're required to have a disconnect.
Let me explain something here before we get into that, because I think I have an idea where you're going, but I'm gonna squash it real quick. Okay,
right, that's fine.
So
I like it.
Let's say I go out, you have a receptacle that's out there, you got a EVSC, your cord and plug connecting it, that's your disconnecting means. Now, I always said in order for you to have an outlet out there, you would have to take and put a box there, and then from that box go over to the EVSC, the box would be there. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
and you would be installing that box prior to the EVSE.
that's right. Now, with this coming in, I think they realize what I was saying. I think a lot of people watch this podcast. Well, I know
Yeah.
they do because we've got. I mean, we've had over what I guess 15,000 views now. So I'm sure a lot of people watch us now. What happens if I put an emergency shutoff out there, a disconnect? Now you don't have to worry about putting a box in front of it to have an outlet. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Now you
Sure.
got a listed device there. Now, if I have a listed device there, what ends up happening if I go, it's sort of like me going to an AC unit. If I go over there and I go to that EVSC, now where's the outlet? We know it's not on the load side of the disconnected things. I've
Yeah, I
already proved that.
100% agree, David. That's 100% true.
I agree too. 1,000,000%. It has to be one of those. You know, it, uh, they get in and they talk about outlets, and one of the things I'm going to show here in a little bit is we're going to look at 62554 on what is considered an outlet. Now, one of the things that I've always argued on this is I said, what is one thing all of them have in common? They have a box there. Okay.
Sure.
Now, this argument come up. I'm going to give everybody a little insight, some arguments I've had. Now, one of them asked me one time, this was a long time, what I would say this was probably about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Jeremy Wheat asked me this question. He goes, all right. He said, let's just say I come over and I have a switch, and I go from that switch and I go over to a 2x4 fluorescent fixture or LED, whatever you want to say is up there, and I directly wire it from that switch. He goes, where's the outlet? I said, it's at the switch. He goes,
Sure.
what do you call the wiring after that? I said, let me ask you a question now.
But you're not calling the load side terminals of the device the outlet.
No, you're not. I'm calling the box the outlet.
Yeah.
Now, I said, let me ask you another question. I said, if I have a switch there and I come up and let's say I have a box up there and I come out of that box with flex and go to the fixture, I said, where's the outlet? He said, at the fixture. I said, oh. I said, but if I take and I have the fixture directly mounted to the box, now the outlet is at the box. Is that right? It's not at the outlet anymore. I said, you can't pick and choose like that. And that's why I have a problem with it. Picking and choosing where you want to put the location, I don't agree with that. And I've always maintained there's always a box at that location. And like David was just saying, if you got a device, let's just say it's a GFCI breaker, okay? If I go to the breaker, it's in some type of enclosure, isn't it? If I come over and I go to a receptacle, it's in some type of enclosure, isn't it?
Sure.
And if you notice, all of them have one thing in common. They got an enclosure of some type, okay?
Sure.
And when you go look at the definition of receptacle outlet, what's it say? It says where the receptacles are mounted. They're not telling you the receptacle is a device. So that means that the box is outlet. Now I'll take it one step further. If I go look at Article 314 and just look at the heading, what's the first word in there?
Outlet boxes.
It says outlet, device, and junction boxes. Okay. Well, if I have a device box, why first of all, why would they not say? Why would they have to put device? That's a good question. So if I have
because you don't even need a device box as long as it has a point on the wiring system.
Yeah, no kidding. But the reason is because if I come over and have a switch and I'm going up to a box in the ceiling, where's my outlet? It's not at the switch, it's up here at the box. So therefore, that means you have a device box over there. But yet, they clarify for you over here what is considered uh, uh, a ceiling outlet box. Well, they tell you the ceiling outlet box up there is where you're going to make the connections to in order to supply what? Your fixture. And
So
that,
what you're telling me here uh in this code change is basically everything green is new text
oh yeah,
to the 2026 proposed, not necessarily 2026. It's proposed
well, it's
text.
proposed, and more than likely
Yeah.
this is going to go in, and it tells you it's got to have its markings and all that in accordance with 110.22a. It has to be a
Right.
manual reset type. Of course, it has to disconnect all your ungrounded phase conductors simultaneously, just like any
Nice.
disconnect. Okay, so
Yeah.
they've added this. Now check this out. Now you get into 625.54, and this is one thing I've brought up, and they still won't answer. They argue with me constantly on it, but it says all receptacles and outlets installed for the connection of electric vehicle charging shall have GFCI protection for personnel. Now, let's
Sure.
look at that. I've asked this question. I said, can I take and go outside and put a receptacle out there, install it and everything with GFCI protection, then be able to come in and cord and plug connect EVSE to it? Sure you can. Then I asked
Yeah.
this question. Where is the outlet installed before I put in the EVSE equipment for when it's hardwired? And they said, oh, the outlet gets installed once you put the EVSE in. No, it doesn't. That and this was I forgot who come up or said this one time, and I agree with him 100%. Where does the outlet go if you ever get rid of the EVSE?
Sure.
Where's the outlet? I'm gonna throw it away. We no longer have an outlet, but I can get rid of the EVSE that's there, that's cord and plug connected. The outlet's still there installed.
Hey, and just letting you guys know, this was my public input for 2026. For some reason they passed it. They're going with the code change.
For sure. Now this is one I have problem. They say the revision extends the personal protection of GFCI to hardwired EVSE. Well, sure it does if you have an outlet ahead of it. But if you're going to put a disconnecting means there, all of a sudden you don't have an outlet.
That's not gonna pass. I don't see that passing. Like, to me it's too complicated. But I mean that's fine. Like I am actually, like I say, this is gonna be the ultimate, like, best second draft ever in my life. Like, like they're gonna have to define stuff like what David's saying is like a switch is a device.
That's right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's throw a switch in there, whatever. But to me personally, when you have this 625.54 that says ground fault circuit interrupter protection is only provided for all receptacles that are installed for EVSE, and then you add outlets, and they're like, oh yeah, let's add outlets. It's like, to me, that complicates so many things. I mean, I'm fine if they're willing to do that. That's cool. I'd love to see it in there. I'd love to see the hoops and ladders and stuff they have to jump through to get that to work, but I don't see it working.
Sure.
That's just me.
and I'll give you another example of something. They were arguing with me, and I said, does chapter 6, I said, does it supplement or modify chapters 1 through 4? And they said, yeah, but what's that got to do with it? And I said, that is what gets me here, is you're picking and choosing again how you want to take and you want to apply this. And I said, I will give you a great example of exactly what I'm talking about. And I said, if I go over, I said, if you look at, I made this argument over and over. I said, You have to look at the NEC when they're taking and they're doing identification, listing, and labeling of equipment. Okay. And they said, the NEC overrides it. I said, okay, let me ask a question. I said, does it have to look that? He said, no. And I said, okay. I said, well, I'll just give you an example and you just tell me if you need to follow this. And I said, I'm going to keep it basic for you so you understand what I'm talking about. But if I go look at 314.101, it tells you there that when they're designing those metal covers, it tells you that it will not be less than 1/32 thick. Okay.
Sure.
Then it says, if it doesn't meet that, it says, or they shall be listed for the purpose. Okay.
Sure.
Now, I asked that question. I said, all right. I said, if I read that, are you telling me that when they do their testing standard and all that, they don't have to take that into consideration? And see, David, a while ago, and I want to give a real good example because he made a really, really, really good comment. And I'm going to go find it here real quick. Right here. He said 110.3A. Okay. When you go over and you look at Article 110 and you pick up 110.3A, what does it state there?
That is literally telling you you need to follow the listed and labeled manufacturer instructions. That is telling you right there the NEC does not override anything.
That's right. Because it says in 110.3A, the heading, it states something. I'm going off memory here, but it says examination, I think it's identification, installation, use, and listing of equipment. I think after listing, I think it has in parentheses, it says product certification. But when you pick that up and you start looking at examination, it says suitability for installation and use in conformity with this code. Okay.
And where does that go to? 90.4.
Well, sure. And one of the things that I want to point out there, it says equipment may be new, reconditioned, refurbished, or remanufactured.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's telling you it's suitable for what? The installation. It's already, the code has already been taken into consideration. But I'm going to take it just a little step further because I want everybody to see what I'm talking about here. If I look at A2, it says mechanical strength and durability, including for parts designed to enclose and protect other equipment, the adequacy of protection thus provided. So when you're looking at that, they're telling you that the metal, everything that's put together, it has to be of a strength and durability to enclose and protect the equipment. And plus that takes and provides protection. But the one that gets me the most, and this is the most important one of all of this, and I'm going to say here, is it's the very bottom, because all the rest, they get into wire bending and connection space. You've heard me go over all of that stuff. But when I get to A9, it's the last one. It says other factors that contribute to the practical safeguarding of persons using or likely to come in contact with equipment. Now, if I'm designing my equipment, don't you think they would have taken into consideration the fact if whether or not they needed GFCI protection, if they're considering these other factors that contribute to the practical safeguarding of persons using or likely to come in contact with equipment?
True. Yeah.
I mean, you can't just pick and choose what you want to use out of this. And that's my whole point behind this. And then you get...
Well, what you're going to run into, James, that really caught my attention, blew me away a little bit, was they're basing this off a tragic death from 2007, right? From a metallic utilization equipment, right? That a kid was killed on. Now, they're trying to base the same thing for modern time for right now, and none of this equipment that we're using is metallic. It's not likely to become energized.
Well, sure. And and look at this. And this is something that I think is probably the most important. Is if you look after that, they have enhanced content there from NFPA on NFPA link. I just pulled it up and everything so I could read exactly everything that was said. It says other factors to consider when examining equipment for safety are special conditions of use. Okay, well, let's just take a look at that. Would requiring GFCI protection or not requiring it be a special conditions of use? Sure it would. But I'm gonna go a little further. It said also, which may include elevated or reduced ambient temperatures, special environmental limitations, stringent power quality requirements, and specific types of overcurrent protection devices. The additional information needed for such special cases, now this is my favorite part, could be marked on the equipment, included as part of the listing information found in the listing directory, or, you'll love this, or included in the manufacturer's instructions furnished with equipment. So if they furnish it with the equipment and tell you no GFCI protection, that right there, the enhanced contents tell me I don't need it.
True.
And that's not my words or my opinion on anything. I'm just reading what they said there.
True.
Okay? But anyway, we're going to move on.
No, dude, the truth hurts, man. No, and, like I say, I really love these code changes because, like I say, that was my public input, and I thought that all my public inputs are going to get rejected, but I guess not.
Yeah, I agree. Now, look at this one. This is new. This is dealing with those transport refrigerated units, where you go out and you have an electrified, they call them electrified truck parking spaces, okay? Right. Where they come in and they've got a rig that comes in and the back of it and everything, it's refrigerated and everything. So what they're telling you here, they're talking about this special purpose GFCI protection for personnel. And it says electrified truck parking space equipment intended to supply transport refrigerated units, like I was talking about, shall be designed and constructed such that all receptacle outlets in 626.30 supplied by branch circuits that are rated not more than 150 volts to ground, 100 amps or less, shall be provided with special GFCI protection for personnel. Nice. Now, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, well, it's 100 amps or less, 150 volts or less to ground. Why do I need special GFCI protection? I mean, I could go in, if I put a 15, 20 amp out there, that's what I need. Do I need special GFCI protection? I thought we needed Class A protection for anything that was outside.
So what they did was they did special not caring about nothing, and then they said that would be okay. It's not okay on all the other places that's not compatible, but since they didn't test nothing, they don't have no way to check that one. So
yeah, this goes back to what I've been saying for a long time. You got equipment that's not compatible, and there has to be technical merit required. And
to me personally, when I read that means they don't know.
Well,
they're guessing. That's what my take is on it. Is they're guessing by saying, "Oh yeah, it should work on this."
Well, I will give them a little more credit here because they realize Class A protection ain't going to work.
Yeah,
okay,
that's what I'm saying.
But they made a statement, and I like what they did a little bit here. They say the requirement may be applied prior to January 1st, 2029, but is provided to allow for manufacturer development of products.
Yeah.
Now, I'm okay with them doing something like this, realizing that they need some type of GFCI protection out there, but they realize the type of rigs and everything there, and they realize it's got to be special GFCI protection, which I will turn and say to co-making panel 2, you need to take notes on what this panel did, because they realize Class A protection isn't going to work. Co-making panel 2 just said Class A protection, and they didn't even do anything, any research, anything to realize they had a compatibility issue.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
while I agree, I still feel that, like, to me personally, I think that SPGFCI needs more testing for, like, compatibility. Like you're only gonna lose 2 freezer trucks per month. Like, then it's like, all right, let's figure out how we could not get people electrocuted. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. Like, to me, it's really bizarre because, well, the problem that I have is that they base this off nothing. They base this off 0 incidents. They base this off 0 people getting electrocuted. They base this off nothing. There's no technical merit on these changes. Now, this code making panel might have like a refrigeration truck, dude got hung up. This would be good to help out with that. I'm not dissing this at all. I don't know their incidents over there. I don't know what code making panel this is. I want to say it's code making panel 13, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe, I'm not
sure. But to me, I'm not trying to diss on their numbers or anything. All I'm trying to say is that you have other code making panels that jump to conclusions and say, we got to do this, or else you're killing babies.
Well, the great thing about this
that's rough.
Is they're giving you basically 4 or 5 years here, and they're giving it time to allow for manufacturer development of products. They're saying we feel that we might want to put special GFCI on here, and and they could move it further down the road while development's being done. But
True.
The main thing is they just
that's a really valid point.
Yeah,
that's a really good valid point that they're not just hiding behind this rose bush of 2023, January 1st, 2023.
That's right. They put it out quite a ways, and I think that they're probably looking at it, and I'll say this: in order to know the development for their products and everything are due, that means there's going to be testing done on this, and to see what they really need based on the different rigs and stuff and what is compatible.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
That, to me, that's pretty good. Now, this is the one I was talking about earlier, and this is where we get into. This is a brand new article, and it deals with electric self-propelled vehicle power transfer system. Okay. And what I want to sort of put out here is I just put what part 1 basically says, and I'm just going to talk about the scope. And I'm not going to worry about all this other stuff because I'm going to tie this in the next slide with the definitions, because they added 3 new definitions to this. And you remember me talking about this a lot. I mean, when I first started all this, we had this in the definitions.
Dude, I'm so scared what my lawnmower is going to do to me.
Well, this is interesting.
I'm not plugged into a GFCI, I guarantee that.
I wouldn't. But it says this article covers electrical conductors and equipment connecting an electric self-propelled vehicle, an ESEV, to premises wiring for the purpose of charging, power export, or bidirectional current flow. Okay? Now, when you come in and look at this, I want you to see the definitions here. I think everybody will find this interesting. So, what is an electric self-propelled vehicle? It's a vehicle or marine vessel other than an EV, such as farm equipment, boats, aircraft, and golf carts, primarily powered by an electric motor that draws current from a rechargeable storage battery, fuel cell, photovoltaic array, and other sources of electric current. Okay? Basically,
It's other
everything
than an electric
self-propelled.
vehicle.
Do what?
It's other than an electric vehicle.
Yep, other than an electrical vehicle. They're
So
telling
it
you what
can't
it
be an
is.
electric vehicle.
Then what?
It can't be an electric vehicle then if it's other than an electric vehicle.
Yeah, they tell you such as farm equipment, boats, aircraft, and golf carts.
Okay.
So primarily powered by what? An electric motor. Okay.
All right.
Then they get into electric self-propelled vehicle power export equipment. It says the equipment, now look at here, including the outlet. Now this is interesting. They're telling you it's already including an outlet for the equipment. Okay?
Do you know why?
Yeah, because that is the outlet.
Because the fucking standard already includes all that.
Well, I know it does.
It already says it includes all that, and they're not looking at the NEC to go, what's a branch circuit? What the hell is? They don't care about that. They say, you guys bring us power and we'll turn it on.
Oh, yeah. But I like it because they tell you, including the outlet on the electric self-propelled vehicle that is used to provide electric current at voltages greater than or equal to 30 volts AC or 60 volts DC to loads external to the ESV using the vehicle as a source of supply. Okay, then they got an informational note there, so it ties in. Now,
oh, dude, thanks
have
for
a good
joining
night,
us,
brother.
David. Really appreciate it. You have a good night, and we'll chat with the electric wizardry on another stream. Thanks for joining tonight.
Now, look at this. Equipment, this is your electric self-propelled vehicle supply equipment. It says equipment for plug-in charging, including, now watch this, including the ungrounded, grounded, and equipment grounding conductors and the electric self-propelled vehicle connectors, attachment plugs, personal protection system, and other fittings, devices, power outlets. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Okay. Or other apparatus installed specifically for the purpose of transferring energy between the premise wiring and the electric vehicle. So now what are you going to tell me? I'm going to transfer the energy over to it, and I'm going to have an outlet over here, and now I'm going to have a power outlet here too. You're going to tell me I've got two outlets?
You can't.
You see what I'm talking about?
Impossible. You can't have 2 points where current is taken to supply two utilization equipments or just one utilization equipment.
That's right. And that's why I wanted to look at that. I want everybody to see exactly what I was been complaining about for a long time. You can't pick and choose where you want to apply something.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, what they did here is they revised this section. And what this is getting into is grateful for the man. Thank you. Yeah, I'll be getting this one up probably by Saturday. But this deals with your critical operation data systems. And what they did, this gets into your selected coordination here. And what they did is what they've done in a lot of the others is talk about whenever you got a critical operation data system here and you replace the overcurrent protection devices, guess what you got to do? You got to reevaluate them to ensure that the selected coordination matches up again, right?
True.
And they tell you to do the same thing if you do any type of modifications. So there, and I think what we have, we had two other sections where we had this type of change that took place in this cycle.
True.
So they're making sure the selected coordination on all these different systems matches up.
So
And
just to let everyone know, like in layman's terms, like if you do like selected coordination, what we want is like if you have a short circuit incident, we want that short circuit incident to happen locally within that part of the circuit. We don't want it to affect the whole entire circuit. So that's the whole importance of selected coordination.
Sure. Now, one of the things I like here, this is where you get into equipment rooms, vaults, and pits. And they did some changing here just to make sure where these receptacles are required. But the main thing is they want GFCI protection or SPGFCI, special GFCI protection. Okay. And if you look, number one's still the same. It says you got to have at least one GFCI protected 125 volt, 15 or 20 amp receptacle shall be located within an equipment room. And then they tell you the same thing where you have all other receptacles within an equipment room, vault, or pit. They're either going to be GFCI protected or special GFCI protected. And then they give you your options there based on your voltage to ground. Okay. Sure. And what it is for three phase, it doesn't exceed 480 volts, phase to phase.
Right.
Okay. But what I want to point out there, they don't say anything about an outlet there, do they?
Nope.
No, they're saying the receptacle, and that they want to make sure that receptacle is installed, has GFCI protection. They're not telling you the outlet in this case. Okay?
Yeah, it would be too impossible for them to try to do that.
Sure it would. And then look what they did. Then they come in and then they look at your lighting receptacles and equipment. Now, the one that we just looked at before, what did it deal with? It dealt with your equipment rooms, vaults, and pits. And then if you look, they did the same type of language here where they're dealing with the receptacles and talking about the receptacles have to be GFCI protected if they're located within what? 20 foot.
Yeah.
Okay. And now this would be interesting because let's just say that you have an AC unit out there. It's within 20 foot. I need SPGFCI there? No, because there is no outlet. And the reason is because here they're specifically only talking about what? Receptacles. Yep. They're not talking about an outlet.
They're going to try to say that's an outlet, that's an outlet, that's an outlet. But if it's not an outlet, it doesn't matter. They can't call it an outlet. Like these guys are going to be arguing this till like the end of time because they lost an argument. And that bothers them.
Well, sure. And
to me, I don't care. I'm like, whatever. If I lost, I lost. But they're saying, you didn't have nothing to do with the myth list on this group. And I was like, dude, whatever. I was like, I've continued the myth list since the minute that we started doing it.
And or what was it? We got like 50 before. Now we're like at 120 something.
It was less than 50 in my opinion, but it's at like 130 now.
Yeah. See, they don't want to consider what's been done. They just want something to gripe about. So, anyway, that was my last one for tonight. But the thing I wanted to point out more than anything is there when we're dealing with the GFCI protected swimming pools, it specifically said receptacles. It didn't say anything about outlets.
True. And the one thing that I want to say is big round of applause to King James. He is the best when it comes to this kind of stuff. Means a lot jumping in here, doing this. And the thing that's so awesome is that we work together and, we dissect it, go through it. And if anybody has any objections or anything they don't like about anything, please reach out to us and let us know. And you know what I mean? We'll go through and explain it better than a second time, whatever happens. But we ready to go to Tool?
Yeah, we'll do Tool here.
It's time for Tool Review of the Week. Sponsored by Electricians Only Tool Review and Nipex Tradesman.
All right, we have another Klein one that I really just found out about, but this is the kind of the same thing what we did last week, kind of a little different, but it's the nut driver setup. These are really dope. You could put them in your drill. I guess the thing is ratcheting, the little handle thing. I didn't check it out. I didn't see if mine was ratcheting. I think it is. I think you could kind of like switch the black thing around and it'll ratchet different ways, which is kind of dope. The orange is 9/16. The red is 1/2 inch. The brown is 7/16. The blue is 3/8. The yellow is 5/16. And then the other brown is 1/4 inch. And I think it's not, maybe not brown, it's probably red, but it's probably a second red. I don't know. I think they need to do like a little bit better color scheme, but I really like these because the thing that's cool about them is from the nut driver all the way to where you see where it goes into your drill. That's all open inside there, so you can run the thread all the way inside there, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, like a lot of people don't realize that, and like I say, I don't know where you would get like a 1/4 inch nut with like a 632 that would go that long to go into your drill, but it's just interesting. And what did Daniel say? I didn't see what Daniel said.
He said, that's a cool tool. I have to get one.
Oh yeah, dude. Honestly, Daniel. Yeah. So the thing I really like about this is it's magnetic. Supposedly the black part on the handle is ratcheting, which is kind of cool. And then you can take it out, put it in your drill. So I think it's kind of cool. And I think it's like $22 for this whole
That ain't
setup.
bad.
Yeah, so, and I think they're all impact rated too. So, like I say, I broke 2 of my impact things this week, and I was bummed out. I was like, oh, I guess they're not impact rated if you could break them in 1 week. But, like I say, I really like, there's certain Klein tools I like. This is one of them. I recommend this to Daniel. Go buy one, Daniel. You need one because I'm going to have to borrow it next week.
Awesome. All right. Well, we got a good tool review.
Yep.
right.
So we're going to question.
Let's see what you got for me this week.
There's a little bit of a rerun.
You're a tassel wiring AC arc wire has a 50 current rating and a 60% duty cycle to turn them in capacity 60 degrees. Oh hell, I got to go look at table 630. I'm just going to take a guess here. Let me add it up. Let's see, 60%. That's going to be about 71, 76%, somewhere in there. So, I'll just try.
I mean, you know, you don't have to do it off the top of your head. You can look, like I didn't say, you have open book on these.
Yeah, well, I don't feel like going in there and getting it.
Yeah, all right. Well,
just sort of basing it, it'll be right above a 10. So even if I was at 76, that's going to put it there. Let me make sure, because I think that's pretty close to the percentage anyway. That'd be 38. So just guessing, I'll go with number 8.
Oh, James, man, I don't know what to do with you, man, but you were correct. That was right. That was a good answer.
What was the percentage, 71 or 76? I know it's one of those.
I think it's like 71.1 or something like that.
Okay, I knew it was in that range. I was like, that's got to be around 70%.
I didn't put it close enough of a ratio. Like, I realized that I could put it at that breaking point. Because you know that there's certain code people out there that could just turn the breaker up by 20 amps and then you could be wrong, you know, so.
It's got to be parallel.
I know.
Shit.
That's so funny.
I'm ass.
Yeah. Is
All
what
right.
it is.
You know what?
Ready to go to the quiz?
The great Willie Quiz.
All right, come on, Daniel. Come on up, brother. Daniel's gonna love this one.
What's it on?
I think Daniel can get King James on this one. This is a good Willie quiz. So, good luck, everyone. Question number 1. Oh yeah, it's Major League Baseball. You didn't put the title in there. What did Daniel say? I didn't even see what he said. Over here, Daniel said something. Let me see. Oh, dude, Daniel, come on, man. The margin of cheating. All right, so all right. Yeah, you know, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what we might have to. We might have to sue you, Daniel. Anyway, question number 1: who holds the record for the most career stolen bases in Major League Baseball history? Is it A, Lou Brock? Is it B, Billy Hamilton? Is it C, Ty Cobb? Is it D, Tim Raines? Or is it E, Ricky Henderson? Good luck, everyone.
Well, this is an interesting because I know it's not Lou Brock or Ty Cobb, but I don't really know Billy Hamilton or Tim Raines, but I know somebody that stole a ton of bases, and that was Ricky Henderson. He damn sure he's up there near the top. So you'll probably throw a hook on me, but I'm gonna go with the name I know, which was Ricky Henderson.
All right, so you're going to go ahead and copy Daniel then?
Yeah, I'm copying.
Oh, man, you guys, you just really don't even know baseball. But on this one, you're correct. You got E correct. It was Ricky Henderson, and he still has the record with over 1,000. It was actually Billy Hamilton it was Lou Brock had the second with 910, really? I think. Yeah, so Ricky good. Henderson's still number 1. All right.
Well, I know this one.
Yeah, question number 2. Which pitcher has the most career no-hitters in Major League Baseball history? Is it A, Sandy Koufax? Is it B, Nolan Ryan? Is it C, Cy Young? Is it D, Randy Johnson? Or is it E, did I do
Sandy Koufax must be badass. You put him in there twice.
Dang it. All right. Good luck, everyone.
Okay.
So one thing I cannot deny that I do write my own quizzes, and sometimes they suck, and I try to do the best I can, but
he would be correct. Nolan Ryan from Alvin, Texas. I was actually at the last one he threw at the old Arlington Stadium. I was actually there when he threw that last no-hitter number, and that was number 7.
All right, well, I'm glad that somebody's paying attention to my double answers, but King James is actually correct, copying Daniel this time. So, wow, Daniel, that's good that you do that answer and that King James could just copy you like that. That's pretty good.
Hey, I even expanded on it.
Yeah.
I knew that with no doubt in my mind.
Oh, dude.
Uh-oh.
Dolphins might be getting tore up now. Bills might be ahead.
King James, always right. You got to go with who I go with.
There you go. All right. Question number 3. Who holds the single season home run record with 73 home runs? Is it A, Barry Bonds? Is it B, Mark McGwire? Is it C, Babe Ruth? Is it D, Sammy Sosa? Or is it E, Frank Thomas Big Hurt? Good luck, everyone.
This one, too.
Yeah?
Well, for the longest
Daniel
time,
has a pretty nice guess.
He's right.
I don't know if that's going to be right.
the great Bambino held it at 60 for the steroid use started taking place, and you had them all right there together. Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, and Barry Bonds, all of them. Barry Bonds playing for San Diego Padres? Yeah, I think San Diego Padres he played for. And if I remember right, he hit, was it 73, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 73.
All right, so Mark McGwire is out, huh?
Barry Balco Bonds.
And you guys are correct. It is A. Barry Bonds is still the record holder with 73. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that was a crazy time. I didn't know if you guys remember that. All right, here we go. Question number 4. What is the longest consecutive game hitting streak in Major League Baseball history? Is it A, 44 games? Is it B, 56 games? Is it C, 62 games? Is it D, 49 games? Or is it E, 52 games? Good luck, everyone.
This is an interesting because I remember seeing this one time. We were at Buffalo Wild Wings and they got the trivia stuff you can play there, and this was asked. And I know it was in the 50s. I just don't remember if it was 52 or 56. And it was one of the older baseball players. I'm trying to remember what his name was. God dang. But I think he hit 56 games straight, if I'm not, it was 52 or 56. I remember it was 50, but I think it was the higher ones. I'm going to go with B, but I remember it was in the 50s.
All right, so I'm just letting you know that you're copying Daniel. So if you and Daniel are wrong, you will never live it down this century. So, just giving you a heads up, it could be the lower one at 52. But I'm not going to give you a chance to go back because you guys are right. It was 56, and it was, Daniel's correct. It was DiMaggio.
I knew it was one of the older guys that did it. I was like,
Yeah.
I remember that. I just couldn't remember exactly who it was. I almost thinking Cobb or one of those, but I remember it was one of the famous players back then. I knew it wasn't Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth, he was just a home run machine. So.
Yeah, right. All right, so question number 5, the final question, and the tiebreaker that whichever one of you guys get right win the contest tonight. Which player has the most career hits in Major League Baseball history? Is it A, Hank Aaron? Is it B, Derek Jeter? Is it C, Pete Rose? Is it D, Ichiro Suzuki? Or is it E, Babe Ruth? Good luck, everyone.
All right, Daniel.
right.
I'm gonna give Daniel a hint before he puts it up there. He played for the Cincinnati Reds. That'll help you out. I'll give you another hint. He got in trouble for betting. There you go, Pete Rose.
Oh, what? You guys went Pete Rose? What?
Oh yeah.
Nuh-uh.
That is an easy one. That's the easiest one you gave us tonight.
Oh, come on. You're going to copy Daniel on C? Oh, man. Oh, man. I'm sorry to tell you guys, but you guys are both tied for the championship tonight. You got for 5 for 5, and what a great contest. Everyone won tonight, and it's just so much fun to do it. And like I say, I didn't really try too hard. I wanted to make you guys have. I told you it was gonna be easy.
Anybody that's a sports fan would know most of those. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I tried. I tried to make it easy. You know what I mean?
You did good this week. That was easy. That was as easy as a Marvel one.
And then what am I gonna do next week? I'm gonna come back and crush you. I'm gonna crush you. 1 for 5 next week. 1 for 5.
You just have to admit, I've been kicking ass this year.
Yeah. Yeah. To me personally, I try to go on topics that, like, the listeners, like, when they tell me, like, hey, you should do this, you should do that, then I do it. Like, I don't sit there and go, no, I'm going to do nuclear secrets of freaking Russia. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, hey, the listeners want Major League Baseball. I do Major League Baseball. I do the best I can,
That's fine.
I could have made it harder. Like, from now on, I think I'm going to do, like, the second or the third, like, I'm not going to do the top.
That makes it hard there, doing it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I'm going to try to do that from now on. But congratulations, Daniel J. You are the champion. Tie goes to the guest, James. Sorry to tell you that, but
I've had like 4 or 5 losses like that already because it was a tie.
So I think Daniel's at like 6 wins, 7 wins now because he tied with these. So
bullshit.
Yeah. Well, Daniel's out there. He's getting ready to do his podcast on how much we suck and how much our Willie Quiz is rigged. So, we just want to give him an ample opportunity to do that. But let's go ahead and do the wall of shame and get you out of here. I know Dad's or your pops is probably
we're going
starving now.
We're eating all day. I'm freaking starving.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Oh man, this one is so awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, behold the 42 gang. Like, I know you didn't even think it existed, but this is a 42 gang receptacle, or 42 gang outlet assembly. Thanks to Scott Carhart for providing us this one. That one that blew me away. I was like, all right, I think there's better ways to do this than that.
That is unbelievable. I've never seen nothing like that.
Yeah, I was just like, and he said it's all connected by pipe too inside the wall.
Really?
Yeah, so I was like,
I'm sure the sheetrocker wasn't happy.
Probably not.
Got all those in.
I mean, that's a little over the top. I mean, like, they probably could have got oversized plates, but, like, can you imagine a punch list? They're going to be back there trying to level those things for months. Like,
wow, that is really
They're not going to be happy with the way those things are leveled. Like, those don't look leveled at all.
Damn.
Like, those plates are all off, crooked, and I don't know. I don't even know how you get away with that one.
I've never seen nothing like that.
Yeah, it was pretty bizarre, but it was wall of shame, cover worthy, and I figured we'd run it. And thanks so much, Daniel, for joining. It means a lot to hang out with you guys, and
Thursday
talk
night
code
football
and
time, baby.
Yeah, dude, I love it. Monday morning coach, badass. It's so awesome. Like, dude, I'm gonna put a whole new fantasy segment in, and I'm gonna go over the fantasy strengths on our thing. Like, I'm gonna do a whole fantasy breakdown. It's gonna be good. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, we got a place that's right down the road here that on Monday night and Thursday night they stay open to 12 for people who want to come in and watch the football game and everything. Have chips, salsa, and guacamole, cheese dip, nachos, just whatever. They're limited. They do like nachos, tacos, and things. They don't do the full menu, but people come in there and have few beers, mixed drinks, whatever they want, sit there and watch the game, have hot sauce, chips, guacamole, and you'll see tables are full of nachos and tacos and shit. They actually have this thing where they do a taco platter, and what it comes out, and you can get it with just ground beef, but we usually get the ground beef and the marinated chicken, and then you go around and they've got a corn salsa, jalapeno, sour cream, this other type of sauce you can put on it, lettuce, cheese, tomatoes, pico, and the tray, goes round, and then they'll set out in the middle. They'll have flour tortillas, corn tortillas, and crispy taco shells. And you just spin it around, make your taco, burrito, whatever the hell it is you want. And it's like, for one person, it's like $15, but for two, it's $30. I'll guarantee you, they keep, if you need more sides, they'll bring out as much sides as you want. And
oh, dude, that's cool.
But they put enough meat on there. Hell, you can eat probably 6 to 8 tacos each and 6 to 8 burritos. I mean, it's a hell of a deal, and goes real good with a beer.
All right,
that's what we're about to go do.
I have to do my pickle shot for Adam. We miss you, Adam. I always bring my pickle shot for Adam, and Adam has these great life lessons that he always brings up in his thing. He's a great inspirational human being, and this shot's for you, brother. Pickle shot for Adam, man. Appreciate Team SOS.
Down it.
Means a lot. I love Adam, man. Adam's a good dude, man.
See what you done, Adam. Yeah. Now he's going to have to go to AA.
Dude, Adam already runs AA. He doesn't even drink, man.
Adam's really like, shut the hell up, James.
Dude, all Adam drinks is freaking straight pickles with dill seeds. Like, he doesn't. There's no alcohol involved.
I know yours has alcohol in it, though. Your wife picks them up at the alcohol store, the little pickle shop.
Hey, somebody listens, all right? It's gonna be on the quiz, all right? But no, it means a lot. I appreciate everyone joining. Thanks so much, Daniel J, for joining. Thanks so much, David Englehart, for joining. Really appreciate all the people. I always love it on the job site when people come up, ask me what the myth of the week's gonna be. It means a lot. And like I say, I feel that we had a really good one this week. We're gonna have a really good one next week. Maybe James might get a little fire under his ass and tell me, you know what, you're gonna do this one, and I'm like, all right, let's do it, because I love it. We have a really good collaboration. This podcast has just excelled so far because we just have no limits on whatever we want to cover, we cover, and it means a lot that that's the kind of people we are. We're just no fear, take the wind to our face and just take them on, and they can't touch us, and I love it. It means a lot, and like I say, you're just gonna have to make sure you give your dad the customary hello from me, and I know you know what it is. So no worries. I don't want to get censored on YouTube, but you can tell him hello from me.
I will. All right, let's wrap it up. Time for some football and some food.
As always, remember, everyone, make every day an easy day.
And some of y'all, we'll see y'all Monday. Enjoy the football weekend. It's all starting to kick up, and it's going to be fun next week. So,
Oh, I didn't tell everybody. The game of the week on college is going to be Arizona and Kansas State, and it's at the Bill Snyder Family Stadium. So that's our game of the week, college. So just keeping everyone in the know.
we'll probably have a little more than that. I might do one other game. There can be multiple games each week for game of the week because there's going to be some big ones coming up. So,
I like it.
well,
I just wanted one played at my stadium. So.
All right, everybody
All
have
right.
a good weekend. See y'all Monday.
Yep. Everyone have a good weekend.